Hello and welcome to Rise and Unwind. My name is Dan. You know, each and every week I try to talk to people across the country about things we could do right here in your neighborhood. And on this week's show, we got this.
That's an excellent way to do it. Just put it out there, let them try and be like, it's been dairy-free.
Yep.
Actually, you don't even have to tell them that. All
Yep.
right.
All of that and more right here on Rise and Unwind. Let's be honest. You know, tax season isn't exactly everyone's favorite time of the year, but here's a bit of good news. The IRS has expanded its free direct file tool so millions of people can file fast without paying a dime. So that means less stress, less time spent, and hopefully fewer headaches. So joining me now is Adam Rubin, Vice President of the Economic Security Project, to tell us how this direct file option works and who qualifies. So let's welcome him to the show. Adam, help me out. I need tax help.
All right. Well, direct file is a simple, secure, and always free tax filing option from the IRS to take some of the headache out of filing taxes. Look, nobody loves having to prepare their taxes, but at least you shouldn't have to pay to get it done. So if you like your local accountant or commercial tax prep software, you can still use that. But if you'd like to be able to file for free from your phone or your computer, usually in less than an hour and with no hidden fees or upselling, now you can with IRS Direct File.
And it was first introduced last year. What kind of feedback or results did you guys see from that pilot launch?
Yeah, the pilot last year was very successful. Over 140,000 Americans filed their taxes with Direct File, and they loved it. Over 90% gave it a positive rating. They said they liked that it was simple. They liked the security. Most people said it took them less than an hour to file, and 3/4 preferred it to other ways of filing taxes. So that's what led the IRS to make this permanent and expand it to more states this year.
All right, so who is eligible to file taxes through Direct File, and how does it work in practice?
So Direct File is available to folks with simple tax situations across 25 states, including here in this state. So that's people who are employees who get a W-2 form from their employer. It's not yet available for freelancers and gig workers or people with complicated investments or who are working across multiple states. So that's about 32 million people across the country who are eligible. And folks can check their eligibility by going to this website, directfile.irs.gov. And if you're eligible, all you need is your W-2 form. It's going to walk you through a simple set of questions in English or Spanish to help you fill in the information on your tax return. If you get stuck or have a question, you can go to the free live chat option in both languages. And if you do need to file a state tax return, it'll also do that for free. A lot of commercial software is going to charge you extra for that.
So what kind of impact will this have on taxpayers, and who tends to benefit the most?
It's going to save people real money. The average taxpayer spends $160 and 9 hours filing their taxes. And most people would rather spend that money paying bills than paying TurboTax. So Direct File is always free. There's no middleman who's trying to upsell you or threatening to sell your data. In fact, our research at Economic Security Project finds that when Direct File is fully implemented within a few years, Florida taxpayers will save over $1.25 billion a year in tax prep fees saved, time saved, and additional tax credits. It's going to help people to claim. So that's real money back in working in middle-class families' pockets.
All right, so what new upgrades have been made to Direct File since the pilot has ended?
More states, more tax situations, and more time savings. So more states, it's in 25 states now, including here in this state. More tax situations like retirement income from 401ks and pensions and annuities, although not yet IRAs. It's also going to help people claim tax credits like the earned income tax credit and child tax credit, and new this year, the child independent care tax credit. And then finally, more time savings. The IRS says that starting in a couple of weeks, they're going to be able to fill in even more information in your return for you. That makes sense because the IRS already gets your W-2 form from your employer, so they know how much you made. Rather than quizzing you on it, they're going to just fill in that information for you. And that's a giant step towards making tax filing virtually automatic the way it is in many other countries.
That's what I'm hoping for. One of these days, I just want to be like, all right, approved, send me my check, or approved, I owe you this check, government. All right, for those of us that are interested in using it, where can we go for more information and setting it up for ourselves?
You can go to directfile.irs.gov for more information or to check your eligibility. And you know what? If you're not eligible, let your friends and family know. You just might save them a little bit of money this tax season.
Adam Rubin, you are a hero. Thanks for helping us out this morning.
Thank you so much.
RSV, COVID-19, and the flu are hitting Florida again this season. So we reached out to Dr. Bhavarth Shukla from the University of Miami Health System to get straight answers on what we need to know and how to stay healthy. What should Floridians keep in mind about the flu, COVID-19, and RSV right now?
So I think the most important thing to know is to recognize that in the winter months, we have increases in all of these viruses circulating in the community. And there are many tools to help prevent their spread. And one of them is vaccines. And there's 3 vaccines available this year. There's an updated COVID-19 vaccine. There's an updated influenza vaccine, as well as an RSV vaccine. And especially for our patients who are of advanced age, as well as those who have pre-existing medical conditions, these vaccines can be very helpful in preventing serious illness.
Why do these viruses seem to kick up a notch in the cooler months?
So that's a great question. In Florida, we have an increase in virus activity in the winter months, in addition to the summer months. And it's because although we do have milder winters, people tend to go indoors. And also there's a lot of travel from other parts of the country during the winter months. And so that can lead to increased transmission of viruses during that time period.
What can people do day to day to protect themselves?
So we have 3 vaccines that are available this winter season. There's an updated COVID-19 vaccine, there's an updated influenza vaccine, and an RSV vaccine. And all 3 can be very helpful for those who have advanced age, as well as pre-existing medical conditions or immunosuppressive conditions. And so it's highly encouraged for those who have those to talk to their provider or their physician and discuss the risks and benefits of getting those.
Who's eligible for the flu and COVID-19 vaccines, and who could get the RSV shot?
Sure, that's a great question. So for COVID and influenza, pretty much anyone is eligible. And for RSV, the recommendation is for individuals 75 years of age and older, as well as those 60 years of age and older with existing medical issues, as well as pregnant women who are in 32 weeks to 36 weeks of their term, to help protect the infant.
Is there a specific time we should be getting these vaccines?
Now is a great time to get vaccinated because the vaccines can basically work best between 3 and 4 months from now. I think it's important to recognize also that it takes a couple of weeks for them to take effect. So a lot of folks wait until they're seeing a lot of cases going up, and then by that point they're the efficacy of the vaccine will take them another 2 weeks, so they're going to be vulnerable for an additional time. So the best time is really now.
What's new or different about the flu and COVID-19 vaccines this year?
These viruses change every year, and so this year's vaccines are updated for the most recently available circulating strains. So for influenza, there are 3 circulating strains that are targeted, and for COVID-19, the most recent Omicron strain that's targeted.
Where can people in Florida turn for more info or to get vaccinated?
So you can go to your primary care provider, or you can go also to get more information on the web at vaccines.gov or cdc.gov/risk-less-do-more.
Have you ever wondered what everyday life is for people with dwarfism? Nearly 50,000 Americans live with achondroplasia, the most common form, but yet many of us know very little about it. So here to clear up any misconceptions and talk about the latest medical advances is Dr. Clayne White from Children's Hospital Colorado. Let's welcome to the show. Dr. White, how are you?
I'm doing well this morning. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, let's start simple. What exactly is achondroplasia and how does it affect someone's life beyond just being shorter in stature?
Yeah, well, as you already mentioned, achondroplasia is the most common form of dwarfism, but it's a what we call a short-limbed dwarfism. This results from a change in a gene that mediates growth primarily of our arms and legs, but also our spine, resulting in an average stature of about 4 feet 4 inches tall for men and 4 feet 1 inch for women. Most people with achondroplasia live very happy and productive lives, but because of the short limbs and their short stature, they often rely on adaptive equipment for activities of everyday living, such as driving, shopping, and even forms of self-care.
So what are some misconceptions about living with dwarfism that you'd like people to understand a little better?
Yeah, so the reality is that while adults with achondroplasia are shorter in stature than the average individual, they tend to do quite well in the world. They live their daily lives much like you and I. And I think the big misconception is that simply being short is a significant disability, while really what the issue is some of the associated health conditions.
And I heard those are such as like sleep problems or chronic pain. Can you tell us a little more about those?
Yeah, certainly. So individuals with achondroplasia have some unique health issues. When they're infants, they can develop life-threatening spinal cord compression, which results in sudden infant death syndrome. So the SIDS rate, or sudden infant death syndrome rate in children with achondroplasia has been measured to be as high as 7%. So this is a really critical issue for these individuals. As they go through childhood and grow, they can have some ear, nose, and throat issues, more frequent ear infections, some bowing of their legs, and spine issues. But then as they become adults, they get nerve compression from their narrow spinal canal. And this, if left untreated, can result in long-term weakness and disability, and can have some pain associated with it as well.
So if a parent does get this diagnosis, what should they know about early interventions and maybe some treatments?
Yeah, so early on, they need to establish care with an experienced health team. It's important for us to let them know that they will maybe not grow as tall as their peers. They can have active and healthy childhood. There are some new treatments that have emerged. There's one FDA-approved treatment, which can improve growth velocity and ultimate stature. So it's important for them to know about that.
Dr. White, thanks for joining me this morning. Where can we go for more information, maybe get help or answer any questions they have about achondroplasia?
Yeah, well, individuals are more than welcome to visit our website at Children's Hospital Colorado, where we have an abundance of educational materials. I would also encourage individuals to visit Little People of America at LPA Online. And there's a website, risinglove.com, provided kindly by BioMarin, which is full of great resources.
Dr. White, thanks for joining me this morning.
All right, thank you for having me.
Have you ever worried about sharing COVID-19 with your pets and maybe even just catching it from them? There's a big study from VCA and Antech Diagnostics looking into this. And we have two experts with us today, Dr. Ann Kimmerlin and Dr. Christian Ludenegger. They're explaining how a study that they conducted found how we could keep our pets safe. Welcome to the show, you two. How are you?
Hi.
Okay, so what made you guys decide to do this study, and how long did it kind of take?
This study started back in 2021 when we were still very much in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. And it started because at that time, we really didn't have a good understanding of whether pets could get infected with the virus, whether they could become sick from it, whether they could get it from people. And so we really wanted to conduct a study that included as many animals as possible. And so we realized that between VCA Animal Hospitals, who has hospitals across almost all of the United States, and Antech Diagnostics, we really had the tools to conduct a study of this sort.
So what are some of the biggest things that you learned about pets and COVID?
What we learned in this study was really threefold. First of all, the one question, can pets become infected in a COVID-19 household? The answer is yes. Surprisingly, we found about 30% of our pets show antibodies in their bloodstream, which is a clear indication of infection with the COVID virus. More importantly, though, is these infected pets showed very mild or even no symptoms. That's an important aspect too. Normally, it doesn't even lead to a veterinary visit. And third, we found no evidence that the virus goes from pets back to people or their owners.
So how did this help us understand how germs and viruses move between like animals and people?
So this study focused particularly on COVID-19, but it also showed us how great of a framework that we have with our collaboration between VCA Animal Hospitals and other veterinarians and Antech Diagnostics, and hopefully other partners in the future as well. We really have the opportunity to continue this sort of work with any new diseases that might come up that could potentially go between humans and animals.
So do pets get COVID-19 the same way that people do? And do they have like similar signs and symptoms?
Yeah, very good question. What we found in this study is that pets show never close as severe symptoms as humans do. That's an important finding. Normally, these symptoms are very mild or even absent.
So how common is it for the disease to kind of pass between humans and animals?
What we found in our study is that a third of the dogs and cats that were exposed to a person with COVID-19 in their household actually developed antibodies, meaning that they developed an immune response and were infected with the virus.
So what should pet owners do to kind of like help keep their pets healthy and lower the risk of infection?
There are a number of aspects which a pet owner can take. Of course, you know your pet the best. Look for an abnormal behavior, a missed meal or longer sleep periods. Talk to your veterinarian. That's an important source for information, not just for, in this particular case, COVID-19, but also for parasites and tick-borne infectious diseases. And of course, stay up to date on vaccinations, on the deworming and the tick prevention. Those are some really important measures to take.
We're out of time. I want to thank you two for joining me. Where can we go for more information and learn more about this?
Yeah, I encourage everyone to visit vca.com and antechdiagnostics.com.
Dr. Kimmerling and Dr. Ludenegger, thanks for joining me this morning.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have you started thinking about your taxes yet? You know, e-filing has officially opened, and it's a huge part of tax season for many of us. With so much on the line, it's easy to miss out on credits or benefits, the things that you actually deserve. So today, we are joined by Andy Phillips, Vice President of the Tax Institute at H&R Block. He has decades of experience, and he's here to kind of shed light on e-filing, key changes, and all that we need to know this year to get us ready for our tax season. Welcome to the show. Andy, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, Dan. Thank you for having me again. Always a pleasure.
All right, well, let's start with the basics. E-file, what is that? How is that different from a direct file?
Yeah, it's a great question. So first, e-file, which is simply the ability to electronically file with the IRS, which is, virtually available in almost every single, tax filing product or working with a professional. And so that's definitely the preferred way to file as opposed to you paper mailing your return. On the other hand, what direct file is that is something that the IRS launched last year with a government provided program for people to file through that. It's essentially just another form of software that's free. Look, it's one more option, but here's the thing. It's one of a number of options that are available on the market, and it's pretty limited. It is only available in about half the states and supports a limited number of scenarios. By comparison, last year alone, nearly 3.5 million people were able to file for free with H&R Block. And this year, around 55% of folks are potentially eligible to file for completely free using our DIY product. So what you want to look for when you're thinking about a DIY product, and if you're looking for a free product, or what are the situations supported? For example, we support more than 40 forms. And in addition, what are the guarantees that are provided? And is there human help there if I need it?
And looking ahead, do you see any big tax changes on the horizon, especially with the new administration and policies tend to shift?
Yeah, so we've got a new administration, we've got a new Congress, and we have heard President Trump and the several key members of Congress saying they want to revisit provisions from the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, which was passed during the first President Trump's first administration. We do expect some changes around the end of 2025. Two things on that. First, we already know what the rules are for filing 2024 tax returns. And so people don't need to wait to file or have any uncertainty for that matter for filing their taxes this year. We do know what the rules are, and you don't need to wait for anything to file this year, though there are some changes we can talk about in a moment. Looking forward, this is H&R Block's 70th year in business. When there are major changes to the tax code, people often need help, and we'll be here to help you as soon as we know what those changes are going to be. Unfortunately, I just don't have a crystal ball to predict exactly what those changes will look like.
So what is most important for taxpayers to focus on right now, especially with some of these new updates this year?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's maybe not such huge sweeping changes as we've seen in other years, but there are some specific ones this year. For example, if you sell items online through an online marketplace like Etsy or maybe even StubHub, or you provide goods or services and take payment through a third-party payment app, say like a Venmo or PayPal, if you received more than $5,000 this year through any one of those platforms or websites, you're going to receive what's called a Form 1099-K. That's really important to know because a lot of people are going to be getting that for the first time, because in prior years, that threshold was that you had to have $20,000 in gross proceeds and over 200 transactions. So obviously it's much lower this year on the dollar amount and no transaction requirement. Important to know, if you get one, you're probably not required to pay tax on the face amount of the 1099-K, meaning there are probably things you can take advantage of, whether it be deductions or if you sold something, what you paid for it, to reduce the amount of taxes you owe. The max amount of the child tax credit is still $2,000, but the refundable portion that we call the additional child tax credit increased from $1,600 to $1,700 per eligible child this year. That's really important for people that are, working Americans that are raising children that were under 17 at the end of the year. For 2025, if you're a crypto investor, like you invest in virtual currencies, make sure you're keeping good records and books, because next year is going to be the first time that those platforms that you trade through, for each of those transactions virtually, you are going to get what's called a Form 1099-DA for digital asset. And again, first time you're going to see that, you may not know what it means, and you need to plan for that impact on your tax return. Important to know, the rules haven't changed. Cryptocurrency, virtual assets, those transactions have always been taxable. What's changing is now the IRS is going to have more information from that 1099-DA on your sales.
Andy Phillips, thanks for joining me this morning. Where can we go for more information and maybe even get our taxes filed?
Absolutely. You can visit www.hrblock.com. We've got everything you need there. And hey, thank you for having me, Dan. It's a pleasure.
Andy Phillips, we'll talk to you soon, my friend.
All right. Thank you.
Americans are taking a closer look at what they eat, and dairy-free options are getting a heck of a lot of buzz. A recent survey by Kite Hill found that more than half of U.S. adults are interested in trying dairy-free products, and many want more protein without relying on animal sources. So today we have chef and recipe developer Jane Olivia. She's here to share why Dairy-Free February might be worth a try and how to make the switch without giving up all that giving flavor. Welcome to the show, Jane. How are you, my friend?
Thank you so much for having me, Dan. I'm happy to be here.
All right, so your guys' new survey highlights growing interest in dairy-free products. What does it say about the changing attitudes towards dairy-free?
So we saw that in our survey that a majority of Americans are looking for a dairy-free alternative this year. We call them dairy-free curious. So they're interested in trying at least one dairy-free product this year, which is really exciting. There are so many out in the market, but honestly, bringing it into the higher protein options, the cleaner options, all of that is really important. And that's what I'm here to share with you.
So why do you think more Americans are choosing or considering going dairy-free with their products these days?
I think Americans are truly looking for cleaner ingredients in their food and making sure they're hitting all of their nutrition amounts like protein, and making sure that they're consuming the proper ingredients and nutrients that they need to fuel their day.
And protein, it's a big focus for a lot of people. Are there any dairy-free products that still offer that protein boost?
Absolutely. I think a lot of people have this misconception that you need an animal-based product to get the good protein amounts, but it's not true. So Kite Hill actually offers a Greek-style yogurt that has 15 grams of protein per serving, which is the highest that I've personally seen out on the market. And they're really accessible and easy to find at your local retailer. And they have low sugar, and they also come in unsweetened and unflavored. So you can mix it into your savory dishes, in recipes, or use it as a sweet component to waffles, pancakes, make a Greek yogurt parfait, things like that.
And you're also known for having really cool holistic recipes that taste great. Can you share a few of your favorite dairy-free faves?
Absolutely. So like I mentioned, that Greek yogurt is great on some waffles. We have some here with the Greek yogurt mixed into the batter for that extra protein boost when you're starting your morning. I also love a breakfast sandwich for your morning commute or dropping the kids off at school. It's great to grab and go. And we use the dairy-free Kite Hill cream cheese. There's 3 different flavors. We have a plain, a chive, and then a garden veggie. So it goes with any of your favorite breakfast sandwich toppings. And then we also have this beautiful grazing board here featuring 2 different dips. Great for the big game coming up or any events or dinner parties you have coming up as well. We have a dairy-free tzatziki and then also a French onion dip. And I promise you, no one will notice the difference if you just put it out. They won't even know it's dairy-free. You're not sacrificing any of the flavor, taste, or texture.
That's an excellent way to do it. Just put it out there, let them try and be like, it's been dairy-free.
Yep.
Actually, you don't even have to tell them that. All right. Jane Olivia, thanks for joining me this morning. Where can we go for more information on any of this?
You can visit kite-hill.com to see their lineup of all their products, get all their recipes, and also hopefully encourage you to try at least one dairy-free product this month of February.
Jane Olivia, thanks for joining me this morning.
Thank you so much.
Tax season is here, and the IRS is now accepting those returns. So today we have CPA and TurboTax expert Lisa Green-Lewis, who's here to share with us ways that we can help maximize those refunds, navigate new changes, and avoid some of those common mistakes. Let's welcome her to the show. Lisa Green-Lewis, how are you, my friend?
I'm fine. Thank you for having me.
All right. Refunds are always top of mind. What can we do to try to get the most back?
First, I would gather all your documents in one place. You want to gather your documents that report your income, like W-2s and 1099s. But more important, you want to gather receipts and forms that show expenses that could be deductible. And then second, you can make a 2024 IRA contribution of $7,000. It's $8,000 if you're 50 and over. And you can do that by April 15th deadline. And you may be able to deduct that contribution.
And TurboTax is it's a major financial tech platform. How is it helping people kind of file this season?
TurboTax is providing done-for-you filing experiences, and we also have some free options. So if you didn't file your taxes with TurboTax last year and you do your taxes yourself on the TurboTax mobile app, you can file your federal and state taxes absolutely free, regardless of your complexity. So you could be self-employed, an investor, no matter what your situation is, you could file for free, and that's by February 18th. And then we continue to offer our TurboTax free edition for simple 1040s only, and you can have earned income tax credit, child tax credit, student loans, no other schedules, and about 37% of filers qualify. And then if you don't want to do your taxes yourself, you can hand them over to our TurboTax Live full service experts and get them done for you.
And what are some of the most common mistakes that you see when people do file?
So one of the most common mistakes is just procrastinating, because people who wait until the last minute, they tend to leave important information off their return. Second, if you have kids, you want to gather the accurate Social Security number, because kids are worth valuable credits and deductions, but you need the accurate Social Security number in order to claim those. And then third, not filing at all. Some people might not make the IRS income filing threshold, but if you've had federal taxes withheld from your paycheck and you're eligible for some of the credits I mentioned, then you're leaving money on the table.
All right, Lisa Green-Lewis, thanks for joining us this morning. Where can we go for more information?
You can go to TurboTax.com.
Lisa Green-Lewis, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
And that's it for Rise Unwind. I want to thank you for tuning in and checking out the show. If you actually want to be on the show, email me. Go to our website, that's riseunwindtv.com. Fill out the form, send me an email, and maybe you could be on a future show. And make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's at Rise Unwind TV. And until next week, that was Rise and Unwind.